So for today's video presentation, I'll be discussing the problem-solving model. In this discussion, I'll be explaining each level of the problem-solving model, what is the goal of each level, and what types of data should be collected at each level. So the first thing that you typically always start with as far as this model goes is identifying the problem. So one example could be a teacher observing that a student is struggling in reading. Obviously, there could be plenty of examples. It could be math, it could be writing, whatever you'd like it to be, but for this prime one, I did choose reading. The second thing that we would jump to is hypothesize likely causes of maintaining conditions. So with this one, there's general and specific ones. I'd like to go over both. In general, I do have several examples. The first one would be poor instructional match, low exposure to instruction, poor curriculum match, need for more practice, inaccurate critical skills, low rate critical skills, and low motivation and or incentive. Some specific skills that I found were inaccurate performance or reading performance, low rate or automaticity on oral reading, and that's it for the specific ones. I only found very little ones. Now, as far as the third step goes, it's select methods for assessment such as reviews, interviews, observation, and test. Again, as far as general goes, reviewing educational records, which as school psychs, that's the first thing that we always jump into when looking into testing child or into their IEP or anything for that matter. Second would be interview the student and or teacher, and teacher. Third, observe student performance with instructional conditions and interacting with the curriculum. So with this one, it looks like they're talking specifically about being in the class, at least from what I'm gaining. But as school psychs, again, we would also like to observe how they're acting outside of the classroom. So that could be during lunch, that could be at recess, whatever the case is. Fourthly, test with oral reading assessments to calculate the percent of words read correctly and the number of correct words per minute. Use vocabulary and comprehension measures as necessary. Lastly would be to test the student response to a targeted intervention aimed at the maintained variable. So the fourth thing as far as this problem-solving model goes is collect the data. So basically everything that we just did in step 3, we're doing again in step 4. So review, like I said, reviewing educational records, background history, everything as far as the student goes. Second would be interview, teacher, student, and possibly parents, because we'd like to get how he is at home, how he or she is at home. Thirdly, observe, again, whether it be in the teaching scenario or outside of recess scenario, whatever it could be, and then testing. So that's just one-on-one with the psych and the student. The fifth step of this problem-solving model is reviewing the data. So everything that you just reviewed, interviewed, and observed and tested, you're reviewing it over. Synthesize the data to evaluate and address possible causes and maintain conditions so to inform intervention actions. The sixth and last step is revise hypothesis regarding likely causes or form of hypothesized solution. So the first thing that you would do is an intervention. The student requires targeted practice of vowel and consonant diagraphs to establish accuracy and automaticity for work attached in word identification. The next and last step would be the goal. At the end of it all, you'd like to give the student a goal just to see where they're progressing, maybe if they're lacking some more, if you need to change the goal, if maybe you need to go back and maybe retake some steps just to see exactly if maybe you messed up or maybe he's just not grasping it all, and to see maybe if there's something else that's underlying the surface that you could help him with. So goal, the student identifies 4 words correctly in 1 minute when presented with a list of words with vowel and consonant diagraphs. If the intervention is effective, then the student will gain 3 words per minute per week with increased levels of accuracy until the student reaches 65 words correctly in 1 minute. Again, this is just all example. If, let's say, the goal isn't working for the student, we'd obviously have to go back and redo all the steps of the problem-solving model and recollect data, recollect observations, redo interviews if necessary, and obviously redo testing as well. But for the most part, we would try out the goal. It obviously just depends, but we would like to see how long the student is implementing all these goals. So about, like I said again, it just depends, but at least a few months to see if this is really pertaining to him, if it's really sticking to him. For each one it's different. If it's reading, writing, or math, or whatever it could be, it's all different. But those are the 6 steps of the problem solving model. Thank you.